We're living in a time where, artificial intelligence is just everywhere in the conversation. And it's totally natural for questions about the future of work, human roles, all that stuff to come up. But what if we looked at it differently? What if AI wasn't like a replacement, but more of a collaborator? That's really the territory we're exploring today.
Exactly. Yeah, there's this growing movement, and it sees huge potential in humans and AI actually partnering up.
Yeah.
And right at the forefront of this thinking is the Human and Artificial Collaboration Movement, or HAACM.
HAACM. Got it. And for this deep dive, you've really gone deep into their world, haven't you? Looking at their key documents, things like Vision 2035, their mission statement, how their projects work, even like their governance.
Yes, absolutely. We've gathered, well, a whole set of materials right from their website. The idea was to really grasp their vision and, how they actually plan to make it happen.
Okay, so for you listening in, our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to break down HAKCM's core ideas and the concrete solutions they're putting forward for a future where, well, advanced tech and human needs are really woven together. Let's maybe start at the beginning. How did this whole movement kick off?
Well, what's really interesting is that the seed of the idea for HACM, it actually started a few years before they officially launched in 2025. Back around 2017, the core concept was really focused on this, well, seemingly pretty radical idea, universal free food. It was kind of the starting point for thinking about how technology could, directly tackle basic human needs.
Universal free food. Wow, yeah, that's definitely thinking big. So how did that initial idea grow into the global thing we see now?
Well, the official launch in 2025, that was the big step, turning the concept into a more structured global push. And to get things going, they use a very, let's say, contemporary approach. They introduced the HACM Coin, launched it on platforms like pump.fun.
Pump, fun. Okay, that's in the crypto world, right? So the idea was raising seed money and sort of building an economy for their projects.
Precisely. Yeah, it's a strategy you see more and more in crypto, these revenue sharing models. It gives them a way to get the community involved financially and hopefully make their initiatives sustainable long term.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so they've got this foundation built, now they're looking forward. Tell us about this Vision 2035. Sounds like a pretty serious plan.
Oh, it is. Vision 2035 is definitely their big picture blueprint for the next decade or so. It outlines a future based on, well, harmony, innovation, and resilience, all driven by humans and AI evolving together. And the absolute core principle here is that AI and robotics should amplify human potential, empower us, not just replace our skills.
Amplify potential. Okay, let's unpack that a bit. What kind of tasks are we talking about? Where does AI help out, not take over?
The source material gives some good examples. Think about maintaining, say, big offshore aquaculture farms. That can be dangerous work, physically demanding. Or constructing shelters, especially in really tough environments, remote places. These are the kinds of jobs HACM sees AI and robots taking on, which frees up human capacity for more creative work, strategy, things only humans can really do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Taking on the dangerous, repetitive, or really physically taxing stuff. But, as AI gets smarter, how do they plan to keep it, like, aligned with human values? Keep it under control?
That's a huge focus for them. They really stress embedding ethics right into the design of their autonomous systems. And having strong governance, their systems have transparent ways for humans to step in, override things, multiple fail-safes, open source protocols. It's not meant to be a black box AI. The idea is the community can see how it works, understand it.
And this is where that DAO structure fits in, the decentralized autonomous organization. How does that help with accountability?
Yeah, the DAO is absolutely crucial to their governance. It basically spreads out the decision-making power across all the members. So the direction of HACM, the specific actions, it's driven by the community, not some central committee. This distributed setup is designed to keep things accountable, prevent any one group from having too much control.
Interesting. So it's the tech itself and how the whole organization runs. Now, you mentioned human-tech symbiosis. That sounds pretty sci-fi. What does it actually mean in their vision?
It points to the possibility of individuals choosing voluntarily to integrate tech to enhance their own abilities or experiences. Could be things like advanced neural interfaces for communication, maybe cognitive boosts, or really sophisticated prosthetics using machine learning. But the key thing, and HACM really hammers this home, is choice, informed consent, and making sure access is fair, equitable, and respects human dignity.
Choice is key, right? Empowerment, not forcing integration.
Right.
Okay, so individual enhancement is one angle. What about resilience for everyone on a bigger scale? I saw something about distributed systems.
Yes, that's about building systems that aren't reliant on single vulnerable central points, making things more adaptable, more resilient. They've actually set out some pretty concrete goals there. By 2027, the aim is a network of autonomous farming hubs providing free food, and then by 2028, launching climate adaptive shelters and maybe even ocean-based food systems run by robots. The idea is a network of local, mostly self-sufficient nodes.
Wow, that's a really ambitious timeline, 2027, 2028. And it feels like they're aiming for something beyond just basic survival. Their documents mention a post-scarcity society. What does that look like for them? And how is it different from, say, universal basic income, UBI?
Right. Their idea of post-scarcity is where basic needs food, shelter, energy, essential healthcare are met directly by these human AI collaborative systems. They do specifically contrast it with UBI. They argue UBI still works within the old economic rules. It doesn't necessarily solve the problem of actually producing and distributing the essentials. HAACM's approach is about creating these smart, automated systems that do the producing and distributing directly, bypassing potentially some traditional economic bottlenecks.
So providing the actual things, not just the money to buy them.
Yeah.
Got it. And they put a lot of weight on being open by design. What does that mean in practice?
Yeah, open by design is fundamental for them. It means everything they create, software code, hardware designs, how they run things like food distribution, it's all intended to be open source, freely available for anyone to see, use, even modify. They believe this drives more innovation, makes them more transparent, and gives the community real ownership. They mention using platforms like GitHub for code and decentralized voting for making decisions as real examples of this.
Okay, so a really expansive vision, clear philosophy underneath. But what about action? What projects are they actually working on right now?
They spotlight a few key projects that really show their principles in action. First is the free food movement, which we touched on. The goal, basic, unprocessed food, freely available for everyone. This has a few parts. Robot-assisted farming using precision tech for efficiency, AI optimizing things based on climate, soil data, and then community-led distribution networks to get the food where it's needed, minimizing waste.
So a whole system, automated, intelligently managed from farm to, well, not quite table, but close. What other concrete things are they doing?
Another big one is their sustainable shelter project. The aim here is building durable, eco-friendly housing in places maybe previously thought unlivable. This uses AI for architectural design, maximizing efficiency, resilience, robot construction with innovative sustainable materials, and integrating tech like atmospheric water generation, solar, even atmospheric electricity for off-grid living. Plus, the designs are meant to be climate adaptive, handling extreme weather.
That's incredible. Building in tough places, sustainably.
Yeah.
And energy. That's another huge global need.
Definitely. Their clean energy initiative focuses on speeding up development and rollout of next-gen clean energy tech, again, through human-AI collaboration. Things like using AI to manage energy grids better, pushing research on better solar capture, exploring microfusion, and figuring out how to implement these solutions at the community level.
Right, so food, shelter, energy, the absolute fundamentals.
Yeah.
Really hitting the core needs. Now, you listed their core principles earlier. Could you just give us a quick recap of the main values driving HAACM?
Sure. There are 7 key ones. First, human-centered innovation. Tech must serve well-being, dignity, empowerment. Second, ethical AI and robotics. Safe, ethical, long-term focus. Third, transparent and accountable governance. Open source, clear communication, participation. Fourth, equitable access. Removing barriers to essentials like food, energy, education, automation benefits. Fifth, continuous learning and evolution. Systems that adapt, learn from feedback. Sixth, sustainability before profit. Prioritize environmental health, long-term ecology. And seventh, community-led collaboration. Grassroots efforts, open source, decentralized power.
Those really tie everything together, don't they? The vision, the projects, how they're set up. Let's dive a bit more into that setup. This DAO structure sounds so critical to how they operate.
It really is. As a decentralized autonomous organization, HAACM basically runs without a traditional boss or board. Big decisions happen through proposals from community members. These then go to a vote using smart contracts on their blockchain. It ensures transparency and a real bottom-up approach.
And their currency, the HAACM Coin, it plays a part in this governance, right? You mentioned a fair launch on Pump.
Yes, that Launch on Pump Fund was specifically designed as a fair distribution. Everyone had the same shot at getting the coin early on. It's deliberately different from traditional funding routes, and yeah, as they point out, it's a different philosophy than UBI. Their model is about directly funding these human AI projects through this decentralized economy.
Okay, so if I hold HAACM coins, how does that give me a say in things?
Well, holding the coins lets you participate in the governance votes. For instance, someone might propose changing the tokenomics, the rules of the coin itself, or suggest sending funds from the HAACM treasury to back a specific project. These ideas get put to a community vote. If enough people support it, the smart contract just executes the decision automatically, like adjusting coin supply or transferring funds. It's all automated, transparent, recorded on the blockchain.
That is a genuinely different way to run things.
Yeah.
Now, who's the person behind this? The founder. Tell us about Peter Woodford.
Peter Woodford, yes, he's the founder, the one who conceived HAACM. He's got over 20 years experience as an entrepreneur, digital tech leader, worked with big digital agencies, London, Singapore, has a solid tech background too, an engineering degree in industrial product design, plus certifications in data analytics, project management. He also co-founded an early internet TV platform, ViewMy.tv, which apparently had a pretty big audience back in the day.
So quite a background in both tech development and building online communities. And he writes too, doesn't he? Books.
Yeah, that's right. He's authored several books, Vision 2035, which we've talked about a lot today, but also others like AI Everything and AI Job Crisis.
Yeah.
So it suggests he's been thinking about AI's impact for a while.
Sounds like he brings a lot of experience and a very clear vision to HAACM.
Yeah.
Okay, we looked at the vision, the projects, the governance. What's the kind of overall process HAACM uses to actually make this human-AI collaboration work day to day?
They have a pretty clear 5-step process they outline. It starts with collaborate, figuring out the best ways for humans and robots to team up on tasks. Second is record, documenting everything meticulously, the processes, results, any lessons learned. Then share, getting that knowledge out across the whole HAACM network. After that comes evaluate, assessing how things went against their goals and core principles. And finally, update, refining the processes, the tech, based on that evaluation. It's like a continuous improvement cycle.
Right. Very iterative, data-driven, always learning. Okay. We have covered a huge amount of ground in this deep dive into HAACM. If you had to boil it down, what's the single biggest takeaway for listeners?
I think the core message is really that HAACM sees a future where human ingenuity and AI capabilities aren't rivals, but actually powerful partners working together to tackle some of our biggest global problems: food security, shelter, clean energy, the fundamentals.
And for those of you listening who might be intrigued, want to learn more, maybe even get involved, where should they look?
The best place to start is definitely their website. You can find it at haacm.netlify.app. That's HAACSSEMDITL.RM.ARM netlify.app. You'll find all the details there, the vision, projects, ways to potentially participate.
Great. So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe leave you with this thought. Imagine a world where your basic needs, food, shelter, energy, are met not through the usual economic systems we know, but through this collaborative power of people and advanced technology working together. What totally new possibilities might open up, and perhaps what new challenges might we face in that kind of world? Definitely something profound to think about.